You're very welcome to Chatting Up the Irish. My name is May Hernan McEvely, and tonight I'm going to talk to a very interesting lady. She's from Cashel in County Tipperary. Mary Walsh is her name. She is a tour guide at the Rock of Cashel, very knowledgeable about that particular venue, and she's an amazing artist. So hang with us for about 30 minutes. I hope you enjoy the programme. Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to Chatting Up the Irish with May. I am delighted to be talking to a very special person here today. Her name is Mary Walsh. She is from Cashel in County Tipperary. She is a tour guide at the Rock of Cashel, this building here behind me. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes. She is also an amazing artist, and I am absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to talk to her about her artwork and about Cashel and about the Rock of Cashel and all her work. So Mary, I'm delighted to have you on Chatting Up the Irish. How are you?
I'm great, May. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. We have we have 10 inches of snow out there today now.
Oh, we've got about 10 inches of rain here today.
Oh God.
Yeah. But I mean, the sun came out later, and you know yourself, in the sun, we've got pretty much the most beautiful country in the world.
Absolutely, Mary.
And spring is springing, so it's all good.
Is it? Yeah. I have a springtime in Ireland for next year. It was supposed to happen this year, but with the
Yeah.
COVID, you couldn't
Yeah.
bring people, we can't travel over to Ireland now with all the restrictions. So we have a springtime in Ireland, and it is amazing to watch everything budding and the lambs being born and the calves being born, and
Yeah.
just the sounds and the smells and the
The
colours of
sounds, yeah.
Ireland and the
Yeah.
luscious green grass. It's fantastic, Mary, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it
You
is
come from
absolutely beautiful.
you come from a beautiful part of the country. Is that in the Golden Vale? Is
It
Cashel in
is.
the Can you talk?
We're right in the center of the Golden Vale.
Well, all right. Explain to people about the Golden Vale, Mary. What exactly is it?
Right. It's a huge fertile plain. It's some of the most fertile land in Europe. And where I live in Cashel, that is, yeah, it's the center of the Golden Vale. It encompasses the northern counties of Cork and the northern part of Cork, and then a lot of southern Tipperary. And Cashel is the epicenter of the horse industry. You probably know that yourself, May.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've got all the big stud farms, the biggest in the world. And that's because the soil has such a high lime content. It's great for any grazing animal. So yeah, it's the greenest part of Ireland where I live.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, very bucolic, very pastoral, really soft rolling hills. I mean, it's very true. Like, it's 40 shades of green where I am.
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah.
Well, you know where I come from. You're up there quite a
Yes.
bit. We have a few colours of green ourselves up there.
Oh, I'll tell you, I say it to everyone, in Sligo. I mean, as much as I love Tipperary, because my mother was from Sligo.
Yeah.
I always say there's magic. There's magic in the hedgerows in Sligo.
Yeah.
There's just something fabulous about it. But I'm going to talk about Tipperary.
You talk about Tipperary because I've covered Sligo quite a bit. So
Yeah.
talk to us about Cashel. Talk to us about the Rock of Cashel. I'm going to move out of the way when you want to talk about the history. You work in this amazing heritage site. I'm going to move out of the way for a minute.
Yeah.
Mary, you work there, and it's, when you're driving, let's say, from Kilkenny down to the Rock, and at a certain point you turn a corner and all of a sudden it's there.
It's there.
And it's absolutely amazing to have it come into your view. But you work there. It's an amazing place. It has an amazing view once you're in there. Talk to us a little bit about it. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's the most iconic. It's called the Acropolis of Ireland. And it's probably the most iconic historical site in the country.
Yeah.
And it's the most important religious site. And it was, now, they reckon in the prehistory, what it actually is an outcrop of limestone rock that rises above the Golden Vale. So it's got this, so you have this huge outcrop. And originally it was known as Ardnasea, which of course is the Irish for Hill of the Fairies. So they reckon, going right back into the prehistory, that it had some form of ritualistic use. And then in the year 370, the first king of Southern Ireland, the King of Munster, His name was Conal Cork. He came there and he built a circular fortress out of unmortared stone and wood on the rock. That's actually where the word Cashel comes from. It means fortress.
Yeah.
It comes actually from the Latin, not from the Irish. It comes from the Latin castellum, meaning fortress. So the kings were based there from 370 up until 1101. And we had two very distinct clans. Neither of them liked each other very much. Initially, we had the McCarthys. They were there from 370 up until 976. And they were violently displaced by the O'Briens. And eventually in the year 977, I don't know if a lot of the people watching this would have heard of this man, a guy called Brian Boru. He was crowned King of Munster on the Rock in 977. So
was he the king that was what's the word? St. Patrick?
No, that's
No.
right. No, Angus. Angus was the king.
Okay.
That St. Patrick, yeah, it's claimed that Patrick came to the Rock in 450, and Patrick isn't associated with the southern half of Ireland. He's actually associated with the northern half, because the northern half back in the 5th century was still pagan, whereas there were Christians in southern Ireland.
Okay.
Probably from the 2nd century onwards, because of trade routes with the Holy Land and with the rest of continental Europe. But Patrick, anyway, he came to the Rock in 450, and it's there's a really brilliant story attached to it. It's said that he spent a few years in the general area, and his visit, it culminated in the baptism of the king. And that during the baptismal ceremony, Patrick, he actually leaned for support on his bishop's pastoral staff or crozier, and by doing so, he inadvertently drove the sharpened point of the crozier through the foot of the unsuspecting king.
Oh.
And poor King Angus, he thought it was an essential part of the ceremony, so he never screamed or cried out. So, yeah, I always love to say we had brave men back in Ireland in the 5th
I tell
century.
you, we had there's a very religious. Well, it's probably a hymn that it's said that St. Patrick was going from the Rock of Cashel up to the hill of Tara, and
Yes.
he composed this prayer of protection. I'll sing the first verse of it, and you'll probably recognize it. I who rise today through the strength of heaven, light of sun, radiance of moon, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of wind, depths of the sea, stability of earth, firmness of rock. And it goes on and it goes on, but it's the armor of the Lord and the protection over them. And the story goes, Mary, that he had 20 followers, and he had been told that there was going to be an ambush by the Druids. And
right.
the Druids were hiding behind, and they saw this deer with 20 fawn walking up the road, and they decided not to make any noise until the deer and the fawn had passed them, not to alert Patrick and his followers if they were around. But in actual fact, it was Patrick and his followers, because the prayer that he had composed had protected them all and made them look. There's a lovely story to it. So anyhow, that's the first verse of that song. So anyhow, that's the connection, St. Patrick. Say that again.
You're after reminding me of something.
Yeah.
Speaking of St. Patrick, you know the Devil's Bit Mountain?
Yes, talk about that.
Yeah. That actually, you can see that from the Rock, and that's it's a mountain with a very strange silhouette. It doesn't have a peak. Instead, where the peak should be, there's a huge U-shaped hollow. Yeah. And it's claimed that Patrick, on his way up to Tara, took a bite. Oh no, he saw the devil, and the devil, because he couldn't get to Patrick in time, apparently it said he took a bite out of that mountain and he chewed it up and spat it out to form the Rock of Cashel.
Yes, I heard. Yeah. Did you tell us that story? I've had a couple of tours with you, and I remember you pointing it out to my group.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
probably.
talk about, here's the round tower there, Mary, if you can see.
Mm.
Talk about the round tower, and I'll get out of the way and you can talk about some of
Right.
these things.
I was just saying that in 1101, it was the kings stayed there until 1101. And in 1101, they gave it to the church. The O'Briens gave it to the church to spite the McCarthys, to make sure that the McCarthys could never return. So what happened was in 1111, Rome, you see, we didn't really belong to the Roman Church. And in 1111, Rome took over on the rock and created the first ever archbishops in Ireland. There were two. One was in Armagh and the other one was in Cashel.
Yeah.
So the rock became the seat of an archbishop. And because it became the seat of an archbishop, it today contains 5 medieval church associated structures. Now, the only building that has potential to have been there from the time of the kings is the Round Tower.
Is the round tower.
Round Tower is the oldest building up there. And they give it the nominal date of 1101 simply because there's no records of it. They don't know when it was actually built. But you always, you date round towers on their doorways. And the doorway of that building is relatively primitive. So it would suggest that the Round Tower dates to circa 1050.
Okay.
So that's the oldest building. And you know yourself, May, the Round Towers, by the way, are the only 100% Irish building in this country. They're the only Indigenous buildings that we have.
Okay.
You'll only find them in Ireland. Now, there's one or two in Scotland, but they were built by Irish monks, so we don't mind them.
Yeah.
But
We don't take any heed of them.
don't take any heed of them. We take the credit. But they're fabulous buildings, and they're perfect circles. They're what makes our round towers different to others, because you'll find plenty of round towers on the planet, is the fact that ours have conical caps that are made out of stone.
Yeah.
And they were originally bell towers, they were watchtowers, they were places of hiding. It said that the monks, the doorways were always built at least 12 feet above ground level. And people would always say that had to do with defense, but actually it didn't. Round towers had a structural problem. They didn't have underground foundation.
Yeah,
So,
and I was told all right that it has something to do with the building of them, and the like if you had the doorway down below, it might
it would have collapsed.
It would have collapsed, yeah.
Would have collapsed, yeah. So they built it high up. Essentially, what it was the foundations were above ground.
Yeah.
And internally, they had anything, depending on the height, they had anything from 5 to 8 wooden floors, and they were interconnected by wooden ladders. And they were just fabulous places. And they'd store the relics. And another reason for the high doorway was quite possibly that on saints' days or holy days, they'd take the relics out of their leather satchels, which were attached to pegs inside the round tower, and they'd display them on the lip of the doorway. And they were also death traps.
Yeah.
You and I learned this at school. All the monks and the kings and the bishops. I mean, the annals of the Four Masters are full of stories of all of these people who were burned alive within round towers, because you couldn't technically burn them down. But the problem was, once you were inside,
there was no way out.
There was no way out. And the invaders would come up, and what they did was they'd build pyres against the base of the round tower. And even though they were made out of solid stone, they had one Achilles heel, and that was they had a wooden door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once the door ignited, that was more or less.
And of course, it was all wooden inside as well.
That's right. Yeah. But they're just wonderful buildings. I don't know. I think we've got 70 something of them still standing.
And Mary,
tell me, is in perfect repair.
Yeah. And tell me something. How many people roughly a year would, on a normal year, would go through Cashel, the Rock of Cashel?
Well, up until last year, we were getting about 380,000 a year.
That's a massive amount. And they come from all over the world, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They come from all over the world. And it's great. I love working up there because you can meet anyone.
Oh, yeah. I love bringing people there. And there's an actual working cemetery there as well. People from the village have people buried there.
They do, yeah. I have family up there. Yeah. Now, actually, the story of the graveyard on the rock is really interesting, because back in 1930, the state decreed that graveyards, anything that was built within the walls of a church, they wanted to close them, because it's not good, to bury beside built heritage. Okay. So, and we, on these islands, England, Ireland, we have the tendency to bury in graveyards rather than cemeteries. Cemeteries are a continental concept
Yes.
that only came to Ireland in the 1930s. So what they did was they tried to close the graveyard on the rock, but they'd forgotten that people had been burying their dead up there since the 8th and 9th century. So of course there was murder, and well, I mean
Yeah,
that
yeah. Yeah.
and the state then decided to create a burial list, and there's a register open, and whose ever name is on that register, they have burial rights on the rock, and there are 2 people left to be buried.
Really? That's
Yeah.
very
So you
interesting.
can imagine how they're watching each other.
Yes, I know. And there's a beautiful Celtic cross up there as well.
Yeah, there are a number. Yeah,
There's a number of them, yeah, but there's one particular that stands out.
which one are you talking about? You talking about
You know how
Scully's Monument?
you can look down into the Abbey, yeah.
Oh, that's St. Patrick's. Yeah, St.
Was it?
Patrick's Cross. That's the only cross of its kind in Ireland. That's actually not an Irish cross. That's an Italian cross,
Oh, really?
and that dates to 11 circa 1150.
Yeah.
And what's standing outside is the copy, a concrete replica. The original was moved into the Hall of the Vicar's Choral in 1982 because it's sandstone and it's become extremely weathered.
Yeah.
And on the western face, you have the figure of Christ, and on the eastern face, the figure of St. Patrick.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an
Yeah,
amazing place to
yeah.
go. I love bringing my people there. Now
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about something else. I am
Good.
Mary, and I'm just telling you this, and she doesn't know the talent that she has. She's
Oh.
highly talented. I'm going to bring up some pictures that you've put on Facebook, but I want to show my audience some of this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Wait till I see, and then you can talk to me about it if I can find it, Mary. I have so many pictures here. Oh yes, here's one. Tell me about.
Yeah, that's the
Tell-
French actor.
Talk
What
about
is
that.
he?
How long did it take you to do that, and what materials did you use?
Yeah, that's Jean-Paul Belmondo. That's only charcoal. That now a lot of people say, what's wrong with his nose? The reality is that this French actor has a nose like that, and I chose to draw him because he was quite difficult, but I fell in love with his eyes because they're so soft and intelligent.
Yeah.
And yeah, about 3 hours, 4 hours maybe.
Is
I
that
don't
all?
remember.
Is
Yeah,
that-
what I do is I use the scale dividers, the calipers, and I map out the drawing. So I take an original photograph that I downloaded or something, and I just take the measurements and then transfer them across, and then I freehand the rest of it.
It's
You know, so
the detail on it is absolutely amazing, Mary, and the light on it is fantastic.
yeah,
So what
thank
was
you.
his name again?
J- Jean-Paul Belmond, I think, or Belmondo, I
And
think. I can't
here-
remember.
here's a guy. He's very familiar. But
That's Terence Stamp. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a pity I can't get-
I'm sort of in love with Terence Stamp, even though he's in his 80s now. But
Yeah. It's brilliant.
yeah, he actually was my muse. I did a number of him,
Did you?
a number of Terence Stamp drawings,
There's-
because I just think he's very beautiful.
Yeah, he is actually. There's something really handsome about him.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a pity I can't show the whole thing. I don't know why it's not letting me show the whole thing. Here's another one.
Ah, yes. I call her the look. She's one of these old ladies, you know, you'd be chatting behind her at mass on a Sunday, and that's the look you get. Yeah.
And who is
She's,
she, or is she just from your
Nobody's-
imagination?
No, she's no. I don't. I just practice. I only started drawing like this back in 2018, so I just practice. So I get pictures on Pinterest or on Unsplash, and I just literally just draw from them. You
It's
know.
amazing. That is really an amazing. And would you have ever taken classes to do this, Mary? Did you ever?
I went to the Crawford School of Art back in 1982, right? But I ended up dropping out. I dropped out after 2 years. My mum died. Things went very wrong for me. And it took me 36 years to get back to it.
Well, I am so delighted.
That's one of my first attempts at colour.
It's
I only did her
fantastic.
came last week, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And you put another one up. A slightly different angle, but that is fantastic, Mary. And would
thank you.
you, let's put it this way now, I mean, I think that they're good enough that, I really feel that it's good enough that people would want you to take photographs or get photographs of them and do a piece so that they could frame in their house. Did you ever think about doing that?
I get a lot of inquiries. I haven't really done anything like that yet because I'm only at the practicing stage. But
Well,
I've had two art
Jesus,
galleries
if you're
come on
only
to
at
me.
the practicing stage,
Yeah.
Mary, and this is what you get, I'd like to see you when you're fully practiced.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've actually moved on now. The ones that the black and white ones, they were charcoal. I seem to have moved on now. Now I'm on pastel. And I'm going to keep at the pastel for about a year, and then I'm going to go into oil painting because that's what I really want to do. But I mean, it's very strange, you know. People are saying, you know, I'm always very flattered, and because I can't judge my own work. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. I
Oh
don't
my
I
God.
don't no, but I don't draw to sell it. I draw because it helps me work out some emotional problems, you know, in my head.
Yeah,
It's like I put my emotions on paper.
yeah, yeah,
So it's like somebody who's good at writing.
yeah,
I don't write it, I draw it.
yeah.
So yeah, and I've had two galleries approach me this week, you know,
I
now that
think
I've
you're
started color.
I think they're brilliant. I'm going to send you photographs and I'm going to commission you to do black and white of me. Not to say that you
Yeah,
have
but it
much to
has to
work
be
with
really
here.
good. This is no, this is the problem, mate. People want you to do things, but the photos are bad quality. You can't pick out detail. I
Yeah.
need to be able to see every bit of detail on it, and then I decide what I need to bring out of that picture.
Oh, Jesus, Mary, you don't need to see too much detail that's on this face. You've been drawing lines all over the place.
Ah, here. Do you know what? Meet your sister. We're the same. You know, you get up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you go, "What happened?"
Jesus, how could it have got so bad from yesterday?
Oh, here.
And you
Story
know,
of our lives.
the best thing that was ever invented is hair dye.
Here, I gave it up. Hey, I don't do it anymore.
Well,
I
I
gave it
do
up because I
because
couldn't afford to.
yeah, I do because my hair goes pure grey. It's like,
Yeah,
you
mine is
can
pure
see it.
grey. Yeah. Here,
So,
I gave up on it. Well, I'm lucky because I'm naturally fair. Oh, there's still yellow in the bottom of my hair. But
yeah,
here, talk about because everything's closed here. I
yeah,
haven't had a haircut since the end of last summer.
yeah, I know. It's
And
crazy.
now we heard today, I don't know if you heard it, they're talking now until May.
How can
And
the
the
country,
hairdressers aren't going to be open.
and of course, the Rocket Castle is closed solid
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Well, I've
Yeah.
had to reschedule the tours again, Mary. I rescheduled tours last year to this year, and now the ones in May, June, July,
Yeah.
I've had to reschedule again. I'm hoping that we can go in September, but your God only knows.
God only knows, you see.
Because the
And
restrictions coming into Ireland are ridiculous. You know, it's
I don't
crazy
know
stuff.
what's going on. I mean, I'm at this stage now. You know, when I heard the news today, I thought there's nothing left to hold on to. There's nothing to, you know, you get of course, it'll be grand. We'll get over it. But you know, when you hear it and you just think, I'm still stuck within 5 kilometers.
I know, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I have been since Christmas Eve.
It's
Like,
crazy stuff. It is. I was talking to a friend of mine who had a friend who owns a pub restaurant, and of course, you were
yeah,
closed down until the beginning of December, and then this woman got orders for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and St.
yeah,
Stephen's Day, and she was really thrilled she was going to make a bit of money. So she went out and she spent €30,000 on food, and then they got the word on the 23rd of December that they were supposed to close the next day,
yeah. At
and
3 o'clock, and yeah,
all of
yeah.
that food was gone. Crazy stuff altogether.
It is. We
And
we
it's
live
proven it's proven that lockdowns aren't
don't work.
necessarily working.
They're not working. Did
Well,
you hear in Switzerland? I love the Swiss. They're now going to go to the polls. They're allowed to vote in a referendum
that's a good
whether or
idea.
not they want lockdowns.
That's a good idea
Yeah.
because
No, it is a good idea. Let the people decide, you know.
yeah. And
But
then the Rock and all of the other great places. And I mean, tourism in Ireland is just absolutely at a standstill now. Nobody can go in or out, and no, all of those fantastic places are shut down. But hopefully,
they're shut
Mary,
down.
hopefully, we'll get back. Talking about your artwork, Mary, do you do any landscapes?
No, no. I should, but I'll be honest with you. It's like I said to you, I don't do it to make money or to admire a landscape. I do it because I want to express something that's in me.
Yeah, yeah,
And the best way I can do that is with the human figure.
yeah. Because
So,
you take great photographs. You've taken fantastic
oh,
photographs.
yeah, you see, that's it. So I say, well, I can't really express any emotion through a landscape. I'll just take the photograph.
Yeah,
And to me, that's enough. But when it comes to drawing a human face, there's a real challenge. And and I find myself looking at human faces as I'm talking to people, and I'm there. I'm literally
are you?
mapping their faces out mentally, and I'm there going, look at the angle of that shadow. I'm
Yeah,
trying not to be
brilliant.
rude,
Yeah,
but
brilliant.
yeah, yeah. No, I think you see, my problem is, as you and I know, because this isn't the first time we've tried this. I don't have a computer. I don't watch television. I threw that out.
You did
So I
right.
have no way of. I don't have a large screen. So I'd love to be able to join an online life drawing class, but I can't do it because the only thing I have is a phone.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the COVID lockdown to stop, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do life drawing, and then I'm going to do pictures, human-sized drawings of people. Like,
Brilliant.
so that's
Brilliant.
that's what I'm going to do, and
That's
then I'm
your
going
aim.
to start oil painting, and yeah, see how
Brilliant
I go.
stuff, man. Well, I hope that I will see you before the end of this year. And would
Maybe
you
we'll be
believe?
talking anyway before it, because I always end up taking your bookings.
I know you could.
So they're not.
Well, listen, honey, would you believe we've run out of time? Yeah,
Well, that flew.
it flew. Mary, thank you so much for joining Chatting Up the Irish. For any of our listeners, Chatting Up the Irish is on my Facebook page, Secret Ireland Tours Facebook page. We're sponsored by Secret Ireland Tours, and we're on MeWe YouTube channel, the Secret Ireland Tours YouTube channel, and we're on every Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock from Eastern time. That's New York time, Mary. But people
Right.
in Ireland can get us probably the next day when they get up. They'll find us on my Facebook and Secret Ireland Tours. For anyone who wants to come to Ireland and meet Mary and go to the Rock of Cashel, look at our tours, Secret Ireland Tours LLC.com. That's our website. And you can have a look at what's going on next year, maybe if you don't want to go this year. Mary Walsh has a Facebook page and she puts up some of her drawings there. And if anyone wants to check them out, just ask Mary to be a friend. And please like and share this video, like and share Mary's work. And if you have any comments or if you have any questions to ask Mary about either the rock or her artwork, we will pass them on to her. You can put them in the comments below, and she'll either get back to us or I'll get back to you. But I hope you've. Thanks very much again, Mary, for joining us. It's
Oh, you're very
fantastic.
welcome. It was lovely seeing you again.
It was lovely. Yeah, I was thinking I'd be seeing you last year. I was thinking I'd be seeing you this year. But before this year is out, we'll be seeing each other. I promise.
And hopefully I'll have a haircut in the meantime.
And look at, I might too. God bless you, Mary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.